Hello everybody, this is Nancy with the summer weekday batch. Friday afternoon about 3 o'clock, and I just finished the first half of my homework, which is question number 1, where you create the shared object repositories, blah 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 blah. So I'm going to run through what I did, and I'm going to try and do it like in one take. So this may be a longer video, but really it's kind of hard to figure out where to break it up into shorter videos because everything's all related. So I'm going to just try and get you to understand my flow here. Okay, so first thing I did was I stole one of the printers from my work and brought it home, and then I printed off the homework sheet because I like to have it in front of me rather than having it on my desktop and having to go back for it, and because I have to look at it like 20,000 times to remember what I'm supposed to do. So I took this and I actually printed it off. That way I don't need to keep it open on the desktop. I'm also trying to save as much room on my computer, you know, not to have too much stuff open. So what did I decide to have open when I got started? Obviously I'm recording now, but I didn't have that open when I was working. I opened my UFT software. I opened up my snipping tool because it is necessary, because you've got at least one image that you're going to need to snip. And then I also I opened up 2 word processing pages. One because I kind of screen capped everything for my own benefit as I went along, and then one because as part of our homework we have to do a screen cap of the merge statistics window of the merged object repository, and then we have to explain a situation where you use shared object repository and explain a situation you would need to merge the 2 object repositories. So you're going to need that word text. So just for my own benefit, I kind of screen capped everything as I went, and I can attach that for you when when you have the video. I'll send that out too, so you guys can see what my process was. So let's get started. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is go over here and open Word. Doing it the slow way here because for some reason if I don't do it just right, it freezes up my computer. So I'm just going to open one now, but for my actual assignment I opened 2 Word documents, and then we say and then I go ahead and save it right away, because you know, if you do all this hard work and you don't save it and your computer crashes or something, you'll cry. So you don't want to do that. And I save everything to the desktop just because. Okay, recording work UFT Friday. This is just so I know what it is. So do your thing, save it right away. That way you save frequently while you're working on it, and if God forbid the computer crashes, you don't lose a lot of work. So I'm going to minimize that. Then I have my snipping tool open, which let me see which one it is. The one that I use is, I forget, it's just called Snip, I think. It's not the one that comes on the computer, but just look for I don't know why I don't use the one on the computer, but I think it's called like snip.com or something like that. It's pretty easy. You guys use whatever works for you. There's one already on your computer. I like this because it resides at the top of your screen. It stays out of the way when you're not using it. It's very easy to capture and then save it and then copy and paste into a Word document. I just like it because it's easy. So I have open a Word document. I have open my recording because I'm making a recording. I have on my UFT, and I have my snipping tool open. We will be using Internet Explorer. As per usual, when you're starting to use Internet Explorer, go ahead and delete your browsing history. That'll give you a clean slate. And the website I chose to use was something called Dana Bananas, and I was trying to get away from car rental sites and flight information sites, something a little more fun. So I chose something called Dana Bananas, which is a funny gift website. There are a couple other funny gift websites, but some have a lot of inappropriate stuff on it, so I didn't want to use it. So this is the site that I'm going to use. So what we have to do, the first thing we have to do, our instructions tell us create 2 shared object repositories for 2 different areas of the same application. So you're going to pick your website, and then you're going to do a test with an object repository, and then another test with another object repository. So you're just going to do File, New, Test. And we're just going to do bananas OR test 1. Doesn't matter what you name it as long as you know how to find it. Alright, so we have our test, and that means now we can open up our object repository, which obviously is at this point empty. And so what I did is I cut down the size of my screens here so I can see everything. And then I'm going to start grabbing the stuff for my object repository. Now when I start the run, I'm going to tell it, I'm going to use sysutil.run iexplore.exe and then the website to get it there, so I don't have to put anything in the object repository for that. I'll already be there. And I will just walk you through what I did for my particular stuff. A few of the details might not be the same, but hopefully it'll all work out. So my object repository is done, ready, and I'm going to add something to the object repository, which is this green plus sign here, and I'm going to add this search feature. And because it just says Q up here in the name, that doesn't really tell me what it is, search field, so I'm going to rename it. And then I'm going to grab this little search icon here, because that's what you click after you have put something in the search field, which I have not yet done. So I'm going to click on this again, and I'm going to grab that. And it's a web button for search. Yes, it is. I'm going to put that here. And it already says search, so that's all I need to do on that. Now I'm going to put in mug because I want to get a mug as a gift. Okay, so that's what I'm going to put here. There's nothing to grab for that. Okay, you're not putting anything in object repository right now for that word mug. That takes me to the second page. Now I have all these mugs that I can look for, and I like this Monty Python mug, so I'm going to grab that link to the Monty Python mug, and you're going to have something that says the Monty Python mug on more than one page, because it'll show up on the second page when you're ready to put it into your checkout basket. So I want to make sure I know this is the page 1 Monty Python mug, because otherwise I will get confused later, because with the abbreviations it's very hard to tell what is what. So page 1 Monty Python mug, and then having grabbed it from my object repository, then now I'm going to actually click on it for real so I can get over here. And remember, at this point we are not doing checkpoints. We're going to add those later. When I get to the checkpoints, this is actually a good place to put one to show that I got onto the right page. Alright, so I got this far, and then I decided, well, we're going to look for the reviews. So I'm going to click on that review button. And there it is on the next page, reviews. Pretty self-explanatory, so I don't have to change what it is. It didn't actually do very much, except it didn't change the whole page, it just changed this little area, so it's no big deal. And then I said, well, what else am I going to do? I'm going to, I think that's all I did for my first iteration of this. Let me go and see. And this is where it helps. It helps me remember what I did. Okay, first object repository was just search, Monty Python find. Okay, so that's all I did. That's all I did for my first search. And so that is my first OR. Alright, so I have this object repository. Right now it is a local object repository, meaning it only exists for this particular test that I am on, which is called Bananas OR Test 1. I need to save this as a shared object repository because I'm going to need it later, right? So let me see if there's anything I want to change right here. Let's change this to page 1. And let's do search results, page 2, and page 3. And it really irks me because you can't see it here because Jay said there's something wrong with the resolution for the screen for Windows 10 for this, so you can't really tell it's page 1, page 2, page 3 until you look over here, but I'll make it work. So I've got page 1, page 2, page 1, page 3. As you can see, they're in no particular order. It's just the way the object repository does it. Don't sweat it. We'll deal with that later. We do not have any checkpoints, so that is blank. So now I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to export local objects. And I've been saving everything to my desktop because it's easier for me to find since I'm just saving it and sending it as homework. So I'm going to do practice shared OR 1. And that's going to go on my desktop. Okay, that is done. That is my first test. We can actually kill that right now. Done with the first test. So you have finished the first part of A. In the first test, you create an object repository with objects from the first area of the application. So for me, the first area of my application was simply to do a search. And it's very simple. I went to the page, I went to the home page. I'll back up and do this. Went to the home page. I did this. I typed in the word mug. And I think I missed something for the object because there's a way to, I had to put mug in there somewhere. I will add it later. I'm not going to sweat it right now. And then I came down here and I selected the Monty Python mug, and then I did reviews, and that was it. So I'm tester A. My job is to use the search box to look for items and then check the review after I've selected the item, and I'm done. That's it. Now I'm going to go to lunch. So the next tester, his job is to create create a wish list, add something to the wish list, and then share that wish list item to another person. So that's the second part of our test. Yeah, I was making this up as I go along. So we now need another test. New test. Bananas OR test 2. Create. Do you want to save the test 1? I do not, because I didn't actually create any scripts. I saved the object repository, which is the important thing, so I do not need to save the first test. Alright, now we're ready for our second test. Same thing, we're going to go to Resources, Object Repository, and this is empty. I'm going to reducify this here. And I am actually going to start out on this page. So I'm not going to start out going from home and then selecting the mug and then doing the search and then ending up here. Remember, all that the other guy did. I'm starting out here from the Monty Python mug. So we're going to add an object. And what did I say I was going to do? I was going to add to the wish list, which is a link. And then in real life, after I've added that, then you go click on the wish list. So you're doing things twice. You're creating something for the object repository, and then you're going to go do that thing that you just created in the object repository, because you have to keep getting to the next page. Then you're going to go here, and you're going to use your login, which I'm going to cancel because I have to actually put my name in here. Because earlier I created a free account knowing that I would be doing this. So we're going to do this. We're going to go do this. We're going to do that login. Then I'm going to do a password. And then we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And we're going to do that. And then we're going to click on the login. So that login is the wish list. No, we're just going to leave that because that's the only login I'm going to use. Okay, so now I've created that login button over in my object repository. I'm going to log in. Okay, as you can see, the Monty Python mug has been added to your wish list. Then the next thing I want to do is share the wish list, which is kind of interesting. So I grab that and I click on share wish list, and then I'm going to grab this, which is the email, and then I'm going to grab this in there, and then the last thing I'm going to do is share the wish list. I'm going to rename that last share wish list because there's another share wish list right up here and I don't want to get confused as to which they are. Alright, so now I have created my second object repository, right? And at this point we have not done any dragging and dropping because we are not creating a script yet. But now this is also still a local object repository. I need to make it a shared object repository, so I'm going to do File, Export Local Objects, and I name the first one CreateSharedOR1. I'm going to make this one CreateSharedOR2. And now we have it saved. I can get rid of this. I don't need that. I'm going to get rid of that. And where do we have practice shared object repository? This is 2, and this is practice shared object repository 1. So these are the two object repositories that I just created. So we have done A, and we did A and B. So we created two shared object repositories from the two tests we created, right? Now, like I say, we haven't built any tests yet, so why haven't I done anything with systemutil.run or anything? That's coming. So we did that. Now the next thing we need to do is merge the two object repositories. And I believe we do Object Repository Manager and File, then under Tools you go to Object Repository Merge Tool. Now note, I do not have a test open at this time, so that's not required. And he says select two object repository files that you want to merge. Now it currently has the ones that I did for my school assignment, and I don't want to use those. So I'm going to do Practice Shared OR TSR1, and I'm going to combine that with Practice 2. And whichever one you put first is going to be your primary file. And since I did that one first and it's concerned with the first part of the website and it's concerned with further into the website, it makes sense to do that. And click OK. Alrighty, so we have finished creating our shared object repositories, and then we merged them. Now, you have to use your snipping tool at this point, because our job now is to catch a screen cap of that, copy, and then here's what I did. There. And now that is what he wanted for the homework. Now the only other thing you need to have on this page is E and F. Explain a situation where you would need to use a shared object repository, and explain a situation you would need to merge two object repositories. So that's the only other thing that you have to have there. Alright, so you have finished A, B, C of your first part of your homework. And I'm going to end the video here because the drag and drop one actually is pretty long and it deserves its own thing. So that is it for this, and I will get it uploaded for you, and you can see if there's anything you need. You can email me, and then I'll see you back here later with the second half of the first half of the homework.